Hey guys, what's up? It's Hillary from Pine Grove Sporting Dogs and groomyourgriff.com. I breed wire-haired Pointing Griffons, and I own a website called groomyourgriff.com to help teach owners how to groom their griffons at home and have them looking just as nice as ones you see in the show ring and in the field. So if you have any questions, you can always send me an email, but without further ado, I will introduce you to Miss Etta James. Etta at one point was the #1 Griff in Canada. She's won both the national and regional specialty. She is an excellent bird dog, and she is the mother to my most recent litter. So anyway, I'm going to groom Etta today. She looks like a bit of a yeti at the moment. We've let her get a bit wild since she's had puppies, and there are some mats and whatnot. So I will go over her and groom her and let you know how to do it yourself. Okay, well, let's get started. When it comes to dog grooming, tools are really important. And it's nice to have a wide arsenal in your toolbox to groom your Griff. You don't need all these tools, but some of them are absolutely essential to keep your Griff groomed and healthy. And I will go over these and let you know which ones you should have in your starter grooming kit. When talking about tools for your Griff, a really popular tool across the board with wire-haired Pointing Griffons is called the Mars Coat King rake. And you can get them online. Amazon has them exorbitantly overpriced. They do sell them at Wren's Pet Depot, and it's a Canadian company, so I obviously really do endorse Wren's. I'm not sponsored by them, but I like to support Canadian. So you can get them with about 10 or 12 teeth, and they're curved, and they're little blades. You can buy them pre-dulled from the UK. I don't know if they're pre-dulled in Canada, but I do run them through a little bit of sand just to help dull the blades a bit so you don't cut the coat. And they also come smaller. Now, I bought both of these when I originally started grooming, and to be quite frank, I don't actually use the smaller one very often. This one is sort of my go-to, my workhorse, how we start the groom with the Mars Coat King rake. And to use it, you may have seen in my other videos, you would hold the skin taunt and then rake in the direction that you want the hair to lay. And as you rake, it pulls out some of the loose undercoat. And you can see how much with one tiny little pass I got out of Etta. And you see the little fluffy hairs that are here? That's the undercoat. And that tends to bulk up the coat and make them have a sort of puffy appearance. It's also what you see on puppies. Most of their coat is that softy, downy coat. So this really helps when your puppy coat is transitioning into adult coat to help remove that puppy coat that tends to snarl and mat and pick up debris. So when your pup's around between 5 to 10 months, their coat will be transitioning, and this tool is an asset for sure. Back to the rakes. These are Andis rakes, and I also quite like them. You do need to be careful that you don't cut the coat with an Andis rake, but they do help, especially for if it's a pet groom and you're not going in the show ring and you just want to clean your dog's coat up. They're really great. They come in a fine blade. See how those teeth are so close together? And then they come in a wide blade, which is similar to the Mars rake. I do prefer the Mars rake for the wide one, but I do love the fine tooth Andis rake. And it tends to just pull out that finer undercoat. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm gonna get Miss Etta here and give a little rakey rake. And you see, it just takes out the fine undercoat. So it's helpful. It doesn't take out as much, but I tend to use the Mars rake first, then go over it with this and finish off with my hands or with a groomer stone. Okay, let's talk stones. I don't actually use those big pumice stones. You can get them at almost any pet store in the grooming section. And I find the ones that are that gray color tend to be gritty. And as you strip the hair, you're going to get little chunks of it in your dog's coat. So I really am not a fan of those groomer stones. If you can find the hard pumice stones, they work quite well. And you just sort of run them over the dog's coat and they pick up some fine loose hairs, but they're not a workhorse and they're not going to get out a large amount of hair. If you have one like Etta, whose coat has gone to seed, shall we say. I let her run wild like a yeti, but we'll clean her out today. So the stones that I do like, this is actually a lady's manicure stone, and it works quite well. You just put your thumb against the stone and you have some hair in between, and you just pull in the direction that the hair grows. So if I was going to do it on Miss Etta, you lift the hair up like this, and then you take the wispy bits between your thumb and the stone and in the direction that the hair grows. And you can see it does take out the hair. Now, slow and steady wins the race. This is not a fast process, especially if you want to do it right. It does not hurt the dog to pull the coat. In fact, this is what's called a blown coat, meaning the coat has ready to come out. It's grown, it's ready to just come out. You can pull it out by your fingers, and the tighter the coat is to the skin, the more harsh it's going to be, because what happens is that undercoat grows profusely and prevents that harsher top coat that we like from growing in. It kind of blocks the hair follicle. So by removing that blown coat, you actually help improve the skin of the dog and the coat of the dog at the same time. So that's one stone, easy to find. These ones aren't as easy to find. I got this through Jessica Daltrey. She's one of the top groomers in the world, actually. She's from Canada. She breeds wire fox terriers. Anyway, this stone I think is from Lithuania, but you can probably find them online or through Jessica Daltrey herself. Same premise, your thumb between the stone and the hair, pull the skin taut, push the hair up so it's standing up, grab the tips, pull in the direction you want it to go, and you see this one is even better than the other one. It takes a lot more off. So I'm a big fan of this. It also helps your wrist from not getting tired. Another important aspect, especially with the stones and the stripping knives, is technique. You don't want to flick your wrist. You don't want to bend your wrist. It's going to be a straight motion back, and that will make sure that it comes out by the root and doesn't break the hair or hurt yourself, because you can give yourself carpal tunnel if you don't use the correct technique. So that's an important skill. But you kind of have to check and see what tools work best for you. I mean, I can show you all the tools in the world, but whatever you are most comfortable with is what you should go with. Like I said, I don't use this one. I don't use the larger pumice stones. Some people absolutely love them, but this is sort of, when I'm looking at stones, this is my go-to. Also, a company called Groomer DK has fabulous stones. They're a little expensive, but they work really well and they last a very long time. Let's talk stripping knives. Okay, so this is what's called a carding knife. All right, they come in left-handed and right-handed. You're going to have it on a bit of an angle, and again, straight, gently go through the coat. And carding is what brings out the undercoat. So that soft, fine little coat. And it's the same thing. You hold the skin taut and run the knife through the hair gently. And as you do, that soft little undercoat will come out. I actually do not use this one very much. The one that has been my go-to are the blue and the red. And this is what I recommend people get if they're going to be grooming for the show ring, okay? So the blue is coarse. You can see the teeth are a little bit farther apart. And the red is fine. You see how the teeth are closer. So what we would use the coarse one for is the body of the dog. And the red one I use for the ears. And that helps remove the bulk of the hair on the ears and gives a smoother look to it. I also use it under the ears to help clean and tighten that up there. So I would recommend for sure, if you're going to show your dog, that you grab one red and one blue. If it's a pet dog, you don't necessarily need to do this, but if you want to groom the way we do and the full process, it is an asset, and you can get these at any pet store. PetSmart has them, Wren's Pets has them. You can get them at Wheatley Wares and places like that. You can buy them online. Amazon has them. Anyway, these are my go-to as far as the knives go. Let's talk pin brushes. Okay, a pin brush has a straight pin. Okay, and they can be coarse or soft, they can be long, they can be short, but what denotes a pin brush is the straight pin. Now, I prefer the shorter pins, and I like an oval brush. And I use this on the furnishings, so the chest, the legs, right, where there's a bit more hair, the beard. But I find that a lot of people buy these brushes and they don't fully understand how to use them. And they say, I brush my dog every day, but there's still mats. And the thing about a pin brush is, with a Griff, you can brush and brush and brush. And you can hear sometimes when they hit a mat, it's going to kind of like that. But they don't really get right to the skin to remove the mats. So you can brush your dog every single day with these and still have mats in your dog. So they're an asset on a more clean dog, but they're not going to help remove the debris necessarily from the coat. And what you need to get is a metal comb. So while these are great, you do need more tools in your arsenal, and I will show you what I mean about combs in 1 second. It's a comb extravaganza! Okay, so comb is probably one of your most important tools of all. So the Mars Coat King is important. These are very important. So in grooming, these help get debris out of your dog's coat. They also help to check your work. So when you groom your dog and you've bathed your dog and you're sure that all the mats and whatnot are out, you go back with a comb. And what it will tell you is if there is a tiny mat against the skin, it snags and you can't get through it. Where a brush will gloss over the mat, these will stop where the mat is and will help you remove it. So I like the combs that have a wide and a fine side, because then you have the ability to do two different jobs, right? You can get them in a more narrow one. This is a Chris Christensen. They're my favorite. And then this little guy, I love this for around the eye areas where there might be some goobies that you want to remove. And I also like to keep a little one like this in my back pocket when I'm in the bird field, because sometimes the burrs are just ridiculous and your dog can come out of the bush with their eyes shut with burrs, and this will help remove the burrs from the coat. It's good to have something like that just to make sure you can protect your dog when out in the field from stickers and thorns and whatnot. So I always have one of these on me when I'm in the field. But again, whatever your personal preference is, I do like one that has a double side with the fine and the wide. So we're talking a lot about mats today and mat removal because that is a key part of grooming your Griff. Mats pull out their coat and it makes it very uncomfortable for the dog, and it also looks kind of nasty. So you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And the better you groom your dog, the harsher the coat becomes, the less likely the burrs will stick to the coat. So the best product, hands down, bar none, that every Griff owner should have is this. It's called Cowboy Magic Detangler and Shine. You can get it at any horse store. You can get it online. It comes in this small tube. It also comes in a bigger bottle. It's oily, it's clear, and you would put that on your hands and then on the dog. Don't squirt it directly on the dog. This is very oily, very slippery if you get it on the floor, and a little goes a long way. When I say a little, I mean a drop will do ya. But this is the #1 way to remove mats. So you put some of that on, specifically the beard area or under the ears or the elbows, places where, or chest, places where mats happen. Put a little bit of this guy on. And then you use either your comb or for really unruly mats. This is a mat knife. This is our Taro. And when I say knife, it's a knife. It is sharp. So if you're going to buy one of these, you must be very, very gentle with the dog. And it is a process. So you put the Cowboy Magic on, you gently use the mat knife on the mat, and then you follow up with the comb to remove the part. Because what this mat knife does is it actually slices through the mat, breaking up all that mess, and then the comb pulls it out. So I like to have one of these. I don't use it often. I use it carefully, but it is a huge help in removing mats from the dog's coat. There are other products to help remove burrs and mats and whatnot when you come in from the field or the forest or wherever you're hiking, whatnot, backyard. This one is a Sporting Dog Burrs Away product. I have used this a few times. It's a spray. It's not necessarily that convenient to take if you're going on a hike because you don't want to muck around with a big spray bottle, whereas the tube's a lot easier to throw in a fanny pack or a backpack. But it does work, but it is not my go-to. But it's another option for you to help remove burrs and mats from the dog's coat. More brushes. Okay, so again, as I said, once the dog has been groomed, you can finish off with a brush. My favorite is a boar bristle brush. That's this one here. Okay. It's a natural bristle brush. It works really well to bring out a shine to the coat, and if there's any like dust or whatnot, you know, it's nice, helps the coat lay flat. This one has both boar bristles and synthetic. It's a little spiky. Not a big fan of this one. I like the natural bristles a lot better. You do not need this, but it's one of the tools in my toolbox. Back to brushes. These are slicker brushes. Slickers have bent pins. They can be soft or firm. They can come in many different sizes. I actually have another one. Let me grab it for you. This one here. This is one of the most popular ones. This is a Chris Christensen one. The red one is a workhorse brush. And then the one that I actually use the most is this one. Again, it's a Chris Christensen. It's a softer pin. Okay. You have to be careful with these because if you don't use them gently, you can scratch the dog's skin with them. So I like a softer one, as I said, with the bent pins. And you want to make sure you store them in the box they come in when you finish grooming and you put them away. Because if you happen to damage one of the pins, it can poke into the dog's skin. So you don't want that. You want to treat these gently when you store them as well as when you groom the dog. And I use these on the beard for sure, on the chest, so the furnishings, right? Anything that's got extra floof, I use these. And these also will help once you've released those mats from the skin. These will help them come out as you brush. Okay, so we're going to talk scissors. You don't really need scissors a lot with a Griffon, but I'll show you what I have. So what I use most often with my Griffs are thinning shears, and they can come with a double serrated edge or a single, so like one flat and one with tooth. And what I use them for is really only one job. Hi, Etta. And it's to trim the edges of the ear leather, because if you don't, it gets really scraggly, kind of rough, ugly looking. And so I use it to just do the edges so that it's a nice, pretty, tight ear edge. That also helps to clean it up and then give more airflow, because Griffs can get ear infections and they do get a lot of bulk around the ear, and I remove that to allow more airflow to get to the underside of the ear and reduce the chance of ear infections. So that's that. You can also get straight normal scissors. You can get curved scissors, and curved ones can be used around the edges of the feet, also can be used on the ears, same with straight. I don't tend to use these a lot with Griffs, but it is an option. I like to keep these, especially in my first aid kit, but also in my grooming kit. And they're ball end, teeny tiny shears. Sometimes these can be used to cut out mats in a weird area, or sometimes near the privates if you gotta get something, or the underside of the feet if you gotta get something. When I'm out in the field, I have either these, or sometimes both these little ones, and these are called hemostats. And hemostats can be used really effectively in a field kit to pull out porcupine quills. That's key. They can be used to clean up the inside of the ear hair, so out of the ear canal. They can help with burrs, or if there's anything else. I actually had one of my hunting dogs get a stick embedded in her foot, and I was able to use these to remove that and then do first aid on the dog. So I do think these are an important part of your toolkit, these hemostats, especially if you hunt or do a lot of wilderness work, hiking and whatnot in the backcountry. They're an asset to not only dogs but also people. So I do like these in my grooming kit. So this isn't a full first aid kit talk. This is my grooming tool talk. However, when we're talking about stripping, or we're talking about sort of removing burrs or, you know, stickers or things like that, sometimes as you're hand stripping the dog, you will notice that there might be an injury on the dog. The dog's got a scrape on it, or maybe you accidentally hurt them when you were grooming them, which is rare, but it can happen. This is a Vetericyn spray ointment. It's specifically for skin, and I use this on my dogs a lot. Sometimes I have stud dogs come in and they've got stud tail, so they get a little part on their tail that's missing hair. It happens with hormones and whatnot. If you spray this on it, the hair grows back really quick. But it's good for scrapes and bumps and any kind of skin issue. It's called Vetericyn Plus Advanced Skincare, and I keep this in my grooming kit, and it is an asset. So we're talking about things to keep in the grooming kit. There is a little bottle called Quick Stop. It's a powder, and you can use that if you cut your dog's their nails. If you dip the bleeding part of the nail in the Quick Stop, it helps to stop it from bleeding. That is something that you definitely want to have in your grooming kit. It's important. As well as a good ear cleaning product. So it was Chris Christensen Mystic Ear Cleaner. It's just a general everyday type of cleaner. It is not a treatment, it's a cleaner. So you should be cleaning your dog's ears when you groom them. They can get yeasty. Griffons often have that issue. And you can tell because you smell it. And it smells a little bit like Cheetos. And when I use the ladies' makeup remover pads, those cotton circular pads, and you put some solution on and clean the ear with it, it'll come out, it'll be like kind of reddish tinged, or look like coffee grounds. That's a yeast infection. And you can sometimes get that gone completely just by cleaning the ear. Otherwise, you need to see a vet. So it's important to keep on top of things like ears and whatnot. There's also ear powder, which I don't really use this, but it can be used to help remove excessive hair from the ear, and the ear powder just helps you grab the hair so that there's more grip to it so you can pull it out. Okay, and so now here we're talking about nails. And I let Miss Edith's nails grow fairly long just so I could show you what it's going to be like doing your dog's nails. Because a lot of owners don't do their dog's nails enough. I don't know if you can see, but her nails are fairly long here, so we're gonna shorten them up today for sure. I don't like the guillotine clippers. Those are the ones that you tend to do cat's nails with. These ones are good. So they've got a safety on them and a guard, and they're just on a spring, right? And you can get these at every single pet store. But what I find is a lot of dogs don't like these, and they don't like them because I think the owners don't like them. There's a lot of anxiety around dog nails, and I think a large amount of it is contributed to by the owner of the dog being nervous and stressed, and the dog carries that with them, making it that much harder to do nails. But if you have trouble doing nails, what you should do is get yourself a Dremel or a nail grinder. I got this lovely one. It's Beacon Hill. You can get it online. Thai Brushy Pet Supply is where I got mine. Comes in a cute carrying case. It's a Dremel. It's got a little charging pack with it. And this bit is called a diama groove. It does not come with the grinder, okay? You have to buy it separately. They are very expensive. It will last forever. It fits flush into the grinder so that no hair gets wound around the end. I find with people with the traditional Dremel, if they buy the wrong kind of tip, you can get your dog's hair stuck in it. That's why I like the diama groove. Not to mention, it's very strong, so it can help grind down the toughest nails. Not to mention, it's got multiple speeds. I'm going to turn it on here. It's got a light, so it helps you see what you're doing. And it's fairly quiet and doesn't have a large amount of vibration. So when dogs' nails get really long, like Edda's are right now, I tend to use the clippers just on the tip, and then I'll grind them down. And it might be over a process of a couple days. So if your dog is super stressed, I would do a nail. give a treat. Do a nail, give a treat. And then reward them after each foot. Sometimes, like I said, it might be over a 2-day period, but each time they do it and they have a positive experience, they relax more and you relax more. So I just wish people would take a breath. It's okay. If you're okay, they're going to be okay. Try not to stress. Try not to muscle them, because as I said in another video, if somebody grabbed you and threw you on the ground and sat on you because they wanted to cut your hair, you probably would come out swinging and be quite panicked about it forever. But if someone said, hey, have a glass of rosé while I trim your bangs, or, you know, how about I pay you $50 every time I cut your hair and you don't have to pay me, I'll pay you, it might be more exciting. So we just have to remember that they don't necessarily know what we're doing, but if we're really upset and stressed about it, they're going to worry. So your job is to remain calm and firm and get the job done and reward them for being a good partner in nails. So I get asked a lot, what is my favorite shampoo for grooming dogs? And I'll tell you, I don't wash my dogs a lot. They don't get that dirty. Their coat is almost weather resistant. It is dirt resistant. And that is because when you have a really good harsh wire coat on your dog, it's created so that the elements aren't as affecting to your dog. Whereas some dogs, they go out in the dirt and they're a dirt magnet and they look like they rolled in a muck pond. Griffs aren't like that. And when you hand strip, you don't bath them first, because what you need is a little bit of dirt on that coat, a little bit of resistance to help you grab that coat to remove it. And also I find that when they're bathed, it tends to puff up and it doesn't look as nice. It's not as easy to articulate the parts that you want stripped. So it's best if you bath them maybe a couple days ahead, a week ahead before they're hand stripped. And then after they're hand stripped, you've sort of irritated the hair follicles, but you've also opened them up. And so I don't bath immediately after I hand strip either. Now this is a personal preference. A lot of groomers have different ideas about it. But for me, I don't bath them immediately before they're hand stripped, and I don't bath them immediately after they're hand stripped. Unless there's some sort of issue where they need to be, that's how I roll. That's how I go about it. But you will need to bath your dog over their life. It is an important skill that your dog is good for the bath. And it is important to have the right products. So with Griffs, because they have a wire harsh coat, you want a shampoo that works with that coat. So you wouldn't want to use heavy conditioners on a Griffin's coat because it would soften the coat and it would ruin the whole point of the coat. So my favorite, my go-to, hands down, is Sporting Dog shampoo. It's number 16. It's breed specific for harsh and wiry coats. It smells fantastic. This Crown Royal Sporting Dog number 16. I can't recommend it enough. I've bought gallons of it. It is the best. Also Peak Secret. It's a company from Canada, from Quebec. They have a peppermint scented wire-haired shampoo that's quite nice as well. But for me, number one is my Sporting Dog shampoo. Last but not least, oh my God, why is she talking about clippers? Ah! We don't clip a Griffon. Yes, never shave your Griffon. Never, ever shave your Griff. Because if you cut the coat, it changes the texture of the hair and it will be that much harder to strip after. And in areas where it's clipped, it grows back thicker and soft and will mat. And it is not what we do for a Griffon. Right, Etta? Etta says, no, don't shave me. So why do I have clippers if I'm not going to shave my Griffon? These are used for the bottoms of the feet. Griffons can get a lot of hair in the underside by the pads of their feet. And this is just used on the bottom. Does a pet person need this? Nope, you don't. You can take your scissors, your ball-end scissors, and just cut the extra hair out. The reason why I like to use this is because in the winter, Griffs can get little snowballs on the underside of their feet which makes them slide around, and also it's painful to have icicles built up inside your foot. So if you shave the undersides of their feet by the pads, not the top, just the bottom, they won't get those snowballs stuck to the hair in there. They won't get burrs stuck to the hair in there. They won't get little rocks or dirt stuck to the hair in there. So that's why I recommend that. But again, you do not need to do this. But it is hugely helpful, in my opinion, especially if your dogs hunt or outside a lot, to clean up the underside of their feet. I don't use it in any other area on the dog whatsoever. These are Wall Bravura Lithium. They have a charging stand. They are operated by a battery. They're quiet. The dogs don't mind them at all. So if that's something that you think you might like in your toolkit, I highly recommend the Wall Bravura Lithium clippers.